20th, 2026. We now call to order the historic town of Eatonville regular council meeting. Mrs. King, would you please verify quorum?
Yes, Councilwoman Jordan. Here. Councilman Mack. Here. Councilwoman Randolph. Here. Vice Mayor Washington. And Mayor Gardner.
Here, please stand for a moment of silence followed by the pledge of allegiance. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. There are a couple of amendments. One is you received the minutes from January 5th, 2026, as well as a resolution. With those two changes or additions, is
What we placed on it? You want to add more?
for the resolution 2026-7, it would be, you want a decision? Under decision? No, we're doing it fine. Say it again.
You want to consent?
You want a consent or?
Is it the general council?
I really want a decision, but I know I originally, but I know we had to do an ad, but we'll discuss it, so it don't matter. We'll put it on the next agenda.
Which one you talking about?
2026-7.
What we just at? The one,
Yes.
the one I just had with. You come on that thing.
Okay, listen, okay. How big can you get it? 2 minutes?
I give it to you. I was gonna be there.
So,
You got it. You put it consent.
all right, so we're gonna add it to consent.
Yeah,
Go, let's go.
that's I'm misplaced.
2026-7 consent, and then for the minute will be January 5th, 2026. That's also in the consent. All right, that being the change, is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? For the approval of the agenda. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, we're ready for citizen participation.
Yes, we have Joyce Arby.
Write this down. I don't have a white flag. I'm waving this flag. I have nothing else to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes. Chair Ford.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Ford, and I just have a concern about the adopting of a tourism master plan. So my concern is when I attended the CRA meeting and I looked at the minutes, I didn't see any approval or request for this tourism master plan. As Mr. Johnson, was he directed by the council to create this master plan? Did he receive public input? I mean, I looked at the master plan itself. It doesn't have any of that information. Did he speak with the planner? Does he have the qualifications to even do this? I'm gonna be honest with you. Not including PEC, not including the Chamber of Commerce, not including the residents. That's not a master plan. That's just something that an individual put together without the direction. To be honest with you, it's something that probably came from ChatGPT. I like ChatGPT, that's fine. But it wasn't even professional, what I would expect from the council. So if you can address that, the other item I see is the freezing of the HUD disaster recovery funds. I was looking at the agenda and I just can't understand why we were freezing right now. I'm thinking after hearing the workshop, maybe we use that money to help with affordable housing right now, put some away for housing, for rental assistance. You have Oak Apartments, a 1 bedroom, 1 bath is $975, 2-1 is $1275. There's a lot of individuals that can need assistance. So let's come up with an actual plan. maybe we get a master plan. I've seen in the past, we've had studies done by different consultants. But before we freeze, let's get a plan and put that money where it needs to be. If they're gonna build affordable housing, maybe we look at that. But just to freeze it and not give any direction, I don't agree with that. Thank you. Someone else. Thank you for that.
We have Angela Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents, Angela Johnson, in Mercer. One, I wanted to commend staff and volunteers on the parade, on Saturday. It was succinct, it was, seemed to be well attended, well received, so, commend you on that. I also think that we should applaud, I'm not sure where it came from, how it got done. But the sidewalk from Poncho's down to the connecting point right before Keller was completed. Drove outside of the neighborhood one morning, saw them working. I know that has been something that has been discussed a lot. So wherever the kudos go, pat yourselves on the back, which would then raise the question, the connection from the other end. So I'm gonna say that's probably, not sure what that shopping center or strip plaza is called, down to Forest City Road or the neighborhood. So there still is a piece that there is no sidewalk, and I know there has always been the talks and concerns about public safety. And that might be pending where we are in the approval of the widening and the timeframe for that first phase of the Kennedy Boulevard widening. So if you have any updates on that, that would be appreciated. So one, commend you guys on a good weekend. And if someone can answer that question, and then also I would like to say thank you for inviting and them coming out, Dr. Phillips and those representatives. I think it was a great discussion. Looking forward to us moving forward with collaboration, but ensuring that the town still is included in the process. A number of questions were asked about the advisory board, and I want to remind us, we do have skilled individuals in our town that have the credentials to sit on that committee. So I would challenge each of you to please look at the skill sets that you have within the community to be able to serve on that and to serve with professionalism. Thank you.
That was good.
Next item is the public hearing for resolution 2026-1. It's a
Right.
public hearing, so we'll start with you.
Yes, I mean,
Vice Mayor.
this is one of the things I talked about years ago about.
Can you cut your mic on?
Talk to some people. This is one of the things that I never, ever attacked as I've been sitting up here, TDT money. And this is a policy, a plan to start being at the table to get these funds coming towards the town of Eatonville, not the CRA, it's for the town of Eatonville. But this is the avenue we have to take to get at the table. So this is the reason I've talked about it. I've been saying for years that we never got TDT money, as you know. And there's a lot of money out there for us to get. So we have nothing on the table now for it. This is my time is up. No, so this is the avenue where we can start. This is not saying who does it. It's for the town. It's in the town of Eatonville. City master plan, for state master. Not sorry, but this is the start. So we have any questions from the audience? Public here is open. You open up.
You're gonna get the preamble. So you can read the preamble first, then you'll bring up, correct?
Well, I noticed it was down in council decisions. You want me to read it down? This is just for discussion and open to the public, because it's not an ordinance.
So we don't have to,
Yeah, it's a resolution.
Okay. I thought we just said that. Let's put input in.
yes, this is public hearing on,
But that's
I was
what
gonna open it up.
Yeah, say it.
that's what some people said last.
That's what a hearing is, public hearing. even if it's not mandatory.
No, I was just gonna read it when we got to it in the council
In the
decision.
council decision,
Yeah.
okay, so
Because it's
So
on,
then-
it's on the agenda for the council.
then we'll just go ahead and open it up. I'll still open it up for public discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
All right, so for resolution 2026-1, adopting a tourism master plan, this item is now open for any questions or discussions from the audience.
So my first question is, why would we approve a tourism master plan when we don't have a master plan for the town? If this is something that we're doing a public hearing, you put together a plan, but you did not get input from the residents. So is it your plan or is it something that's gonna benefit the residents? Did you get any feedback from Ms. N.Y. Natheri? Those are my two questions.
Are there any other comments?
Okay, well, I'll just make one quick comment. Did I hear you say this was a plan, that the money was not going through the CRA, it was the town?
This is. Go ahead, finish your.
That's it.
Okay,
We gotta get the comments
you
then.
got comments?
Any other comments? Three, two, and- All right, this item is now closed for public discussion.
Okay,
Vice.
again, this is for the town of Eatonville. This is not for an agency of the town of Eatonville. This is for the town of Eatonville. When people go to the TDT, they get funds for their community, not for agency. PEC get money from them already. TDT money. How they get it is probably start a plan like this here. Okay, that's probably how they get funds. Because you have to start somewhere. They do a big event, they see people come to the community, that's how you get those dollars come to your community. And we can use them as some of the funds we can get, pick it back on them because they're in our community, the town. Like I said, we never reached out to the TDT, but one time I think, under Mayor Grant, we reached out for some TDT funds, but we didn't have nothing in place. We were showing what we were doing. This here will show us what we're doing. We have land, we have inventory to show people that this is a start to get these funds to come to us. So that's one of the reasons this is a start. It might be more to it, but this is an avenue where we can start be at the table and say, hey. So this is a policy, a plan to start getting these funds to our community. Anyone else have questions?
And I guess I'll start, PEC right now is we're gonna receive like 3 million over. I think it's 3 million over a period of 3 years leading up to the big anniversary. So those are TDT funds. So they're already receiving money from TDT. So so someone from the town has requested and has been awarded funds. So that's just
That's the town. I know they was getting those funds. What can we get? How can we get started getting those funds for things? That's what we need to start on. That's the policy. That's what we put in place now. How can we start to build infrastructure to whatever kind of facility to get these funds coming to us?
I guess my question would be, why would we not partner with the work that PEC has shown to be successful with? Why does it have to be separate and apart from PEC? Because this work they've been doing for decades. And if they have been successful, it seems that the town works with them, then not only would you be strengthening PEC, but it would also be showing the strength in the partnership.
Okay, one thing with PEC using the town for what they have, what they be getting. Okay, they're using us.
That's why
They-
the
they-
partnership.
So why didn't they partner with us? if you say a partner, they still have us at the table with them. Correct? So now, I guess they don't want us at the table with them. Now we gotta get our own, look, I sit at the table and say, hey, this is where we need to go. And then if we need to use them in our argument or whatever in our next step to this plan, that's what we'll do. But yes, they getting there. And they didn't put us involved, the town. So my thing is, let's see what the town can do by starting this plan with the commission.
Okay, one more, and I know, Council, Quinn's question, you had a question up here. Cause I don't have it looking this way, but, well, one more. Who does this work? So if we're talking about going to TDC, who is going to do that work?
CEO, staff do. So we gotta get that, we have to get it there first. Do we fall from there? That's what that started at.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Councilman Washington. My views on this particular subject, on the tourism master plan. I feel that we need to have one master plan for tourism for the whole town. PEC, they have been around for at least 35 years. They have a plan. They're well defined on what they do, and they do it well. They have all of the components as far as what is needed in order to succeed in tourism and excursions for the town. They're very well known, basically, well, as far as Zoe her works, and as far as what they do here in the town of Eatonville. I just think that we just need to not to start creating extra entities and being separate, because the goals that they have, we all should be having the same goals as well as for the town. And I think a collaboration and a partnership with them would be much better. And I think it'll strengthen our town and the tourism plan that we have. So I'm not fighting it. I'm just saying that it makes more sense, and it builds a much stronger relationship when we go in together. And maybe there are some things we in the town would like to see, and maybe a little different from what they have, but at least they have the resources. They can pull all these suggestions together and bring us together as a town. So I think a master plan is great, but I think they need to, I think they should be involved as far as we're meeting together and come up with a master plan that's going to be satisfactory to both entities. They've been doing a lot of work for many, many years, and I applaud a lot of the work that they do. They have the staff. We don't have the staff. We will have to hire someone to go out and do grants and those things. They have all this, all the connections they have from Rollins College and also from the University of Florida, in Central Florida. So that's just my opinion, and so I think that's where we should be moving towards that.
I have one question, Mayor. You said, don't you sit on the advisory board at TDT? So what's the procedures when a client, like when Dr. Phillips Center want funds and Central Florida Captain Work State want funds, how do they entertain that? When they come to the advisory board or to the board, do they come as the board members come?
So,
Mr. Hodge from Central Florida to the stadium, those guys there come, how do they come to present the funds for the TDT?
so usually when we go to the TDC meetings, we have reports. The last set of monies that were given, or there's another committee that listens to those proposals. And they are the ones that advise. Excuse me.
So you're saying you're
Not TDC.
sending the proposals, that even if it was sending a proposal for a project. say we gonna do a project, build a stadium.
Mhm.
They're sending a proposal. I mean, you saying you need the people, I don't think you need a lot of people to do that. I'm just saying, the process is easy. We identify area, we wanna build a center, facility, what, you know.
You mean the proposals that are presented to the committee?
I'm trying to see, what's the steps of a person going to the TDT,
It's just,
a proposal?
okay, so it's an application process, just like a grant, and it goes to, if they're presented to the committee, but they are not just saying, this is this and that is that. I mean, they have financial studies and all of that, feasibility studies for their projects. So I'm not, and then by the time, and then that committee says, okay, these are the recipients that we suggest, and then whoever they choose will come to the TDC. They'll give us a quick synopsis of it, and then that goes to the commission for approval.
So I guess Vice Mayor, to step in for a second, they go through and they do a scoring system, and then they start ranking them down. And then depending on how much money is in that pot, they keep going down, and then if they get down to the last person, there's still money left, then they'll fund it, but if not, it's a cutoff.
But that's the committee.
That's the committee that's doing
I'm
that.
speaking of the work to put into this work, not the committee's work or the TDC's work. I mean, the effort is going to take for this work.
Proposal of application.
It's more than just a proposal.
So where we start at, just reach out to get funds for TDT, since all this bad municipality never received any funds for TDT. We bring thousands, 100,000 people in town to Eatonville every year. So where do the Eatonville start trying to get tax?
So you first start with the grant cycle. And find out the grant cycle, if it's the arts.
Do the town need to have something on file, policy on file to start? Or you just do it out, just send somebody to do it? Do we need to have a policy in place, or do we just say, hey?
To write grants?
I'm just asking, no, do we have to need a policy for what, for tourist tax dollars? Or you just writing a grant?
So in the past, we've just written a grant, but it wasn't grants like.
Like what?
So the last one we did, the 34 million, was through a civil an engineer through public
What's
works.
that tourist tax dollars? Out of TDT?
No, you just asked, I'm
No, I'm just saying, we
I'm
talking about,
giving you an example of a grant that was written that did require some input. Wait a minute, but the input for that grant came from the FEMA group. It did not come from staff. It came from the FEMA group.
tax dollars are not a grant. Are they grants? Are they tax dollars?
The tax revenue that we get from the town is not a grant. However, the tax
That's what,
revenue that goes through the county and you're requesting it could be in the form of a grant, like the HUD grants, the CDBG grants.
it's not tourist tax
Maybe
dollars.
somebody else can understand what
I mean,
My question would be, according to the TDP, now, would we be essentially butting head with another entity within our town that does get these dollars?
we can, when we gonna be on board for
So that's the
Eatonville?
question I have.
No, when we gonna be on board for Eatonville? Well, they getting their money.
I know that, but we, like, I get what you're saying, and I understand the purpose of why you did it, but like, but we are partnership with them a lot of times, right? And a lot of things that they do in the community. We got Zoro coming up this month, the end of this month, actually. And I know they get a lot of funding to be able to participate in doing that. So if we are getting the money, wouldn't that kind of slow them down and getting the? I'm trying to, make sense out of all of it. And like I said, this is your, assumption is not,
Other cities Orlando, when people in City Orlando get funds, they're in the City Orlando. They're not partnering with City Orlando.
But that's a different story.
No, I'm just saying,
That's a bigger.
I'm just letting you know. Tax dollars, they put it, Central Bowl get it, what do you wanna call it, Campbell Stadium? Dr. Phillips Center get funds every other year. They're in Orlando, but they ain't partnering with City Orlando.
I'm not saying that I'm not
No,
going against it, but I think we gotta make sense about how we're approaching it also. That's why, me personally, if I'm gonna bring something like this to the table, even though it's not an ordinance, it's a resolution, I'm gonna, bring to the attention of the attorney or to say, hey, listen, man, make me make sense out of this right here. It's something that I wanna do, and I understand we get funds for TDT and,
We don't.
well, no, we don't, but, PC, they do. But wouldn't we be bumping heads?
Well, go ahead.
No, so I was gonna say, maybe the question is to the CAO, and I know the mayor is quite familiar with it as well. What do you recommend that we do, or what do you recommend? What's the work that we need to do to see if we can make this possible?
I would go through and look at the process and then go through and put a timeline together and make sure we have all of the parameters that's needed before you submit it, because it's not just submitting an application. And I'm actually, as we talk right now, I'm pulling up more stuff on it. It's things dealing with the Florida statute, section 125.0104. It's dealing with the application process. How does it fit into the realm? Then you gotta have historical data and all that stuff to go along with it too. So it's not just putting out there. You gotta have your data sets and your data points to be able to go along with it, to be able to justify them giving you the money.
Right.
Correct, that's part of the application.
And I hear what Vice Mayor is saying, because it sounds like we're dealing with, PEC, and they're getting their funding, and they have been very successful throughout the years. But I do hear very clearly what Vice Mayor is saying, that perhaps at some point, maybe the town, we need to try to go and see how can we get some of those fundings on the town side. And we appreciate all the partnerships that we do have with PEC, and saying that they do great work. But is it possible?
For a collaborative approach.
No, for the town to see if they can seek their own fundings, if we can seek our own funding. Just asking for recommendations to kind of support his idea.
Yeah, Councilwoman, I would say that, but when you start looking at, you're looking at how many people bringing this in, and we gotta be able to analyze all the other projects that we have in town, how many people are coming in. So if Zora saying they bringing in, I'll tell you the number they told me last year, they said they brought in 30,000. So they use that number as 30,000. And then we're going, what number are we using and saying that we brought those people in? Cause you can't duplicate
that.
You can't duplicate those data to do it.
And I think maybe I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilwoman.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everyone is saying. Now, the TDT meetings that I have attended in the past. Okay, first of all, one of the things that they look at is the economic impact that the town would have if they were able to get TDT funds. Also, they're looking at the population and the results of the outcome. Is there an economic impact here to the town of Eatonville for the town for TDT funds? All these things will have to be very well documented. So I think what makes it a stronger collaboration, if we include if the Chamber of Commerce included, the town of Eatonville, PEC, and maybe another entity, or someone had mentioned, I think in the paperwork, the Moses House in St. Lawrence. All of those are basically our tourist destination here in the town of Eatonville. It's more than just a person coming to the table that knows how to write a grant and thinking if we write a grant, we'll be able to bring more people here for entertainment. It goes further than that. So I think we need to start really thinking out the box as a whole and come together as one. It will make us look much better rather than being separate. And whatever we want as the town, that will be inclusive of the master plan package. The PEC group, they know how to put the master plan together, and they have the experts to do it. So I say, let's just collaborate with them. You have your chamber, they have things in their buildings that they probably need to fix up, or something they want to improve in their building. The same with the Moses House, and the same with the church. Some things that we can do there in the church to improve the layout of the church for tourism, because we are a tourism destination. Just today, I think it was yesterday, we had 13 to 15 people that visit the church yesterday just to look at the murals. We have another tour coming on in September with the chamber. They're gonna probably have about 15 people in their group. So if we all come together as one, I think we'll get the things we want and be much more appealing to the tourism industry.
And that's what I told Mr. Johnson, when him and I talked about this, that it should be a collaborative approach. I don't think you can just knock PEC out. I think it need to be a collaborative approach to everything. Cause if you come together and anybody that knows business, if you saying 100,000 people, I'm more apt to get a sponsorship to 100,000 than 5,000, you know? So we come together and put everything together and get all of these people that's doing the chamber, PEC, the Mosleys, the cemetery. You bring all of it together and come up with a collaborative approach to it. I think it'd be more effective way of doing it.
And you guys said it, you guys said it all. That's part of your inventory. That's part of what you need to have in this report. It's part of your inventory. All the historic sites. All that's part of it. It's not separating people out, those groups out. It's a part of the plan. It's a part of the plan. So we say talking about we excluding people. No, we're not excluding them. It's the town. So once we get past this step and do the application, do the application fees and the proposals, we include whoever needs what. And you put it down as your inventory. If the chambers want to build a new add-on building, they need 300,000. You add that in your cost with the town.
So Vice Mayor,
Go ahead.
Yeah, my suggestion would be is look at a template of what has been submitted by PEC or whatever, and use that as a framework to figure out what are we.
What is fees? Nonprofit. What is that?
Say again?
Fees is nonprofit.
They're nonprofit.
Okay. Well, wait.
But the guidelines are gonna still be the same for submission. That's my thoughts.
I think
And this isn't like a 5-year plan. This is not just for now. It's 5 years down the road. So you got to start somewhere. You got to start. So if you listen to them and say, yeah, y'all should have looked at this here and get it started, then we'll be like, oh yeah, we're behind now. But it's all good. I mean, but I think everybody's that have, like Councilwoman Randolph said, churches, I don't know if they could be a part of it, but I'm just saying, religion facilities, but we have the inventory already to start this plan. That's all I have.
I get your intention, which is good, but I think we need to make a more collaborative effort to team with the people that are within the community that do have nonprofits, right? That way it won't seem, I think it's just the right thing to do versus saying here just want to have one strictly with just Eatonville. And then we go through all the boundaries of trying to get funds for TDT and all these things right there. And it's just gonna interfere with, I think, with PEC got, as long as we're doing what we're doing and what you are subject to want to do. So I think we probably need to table this. I don't know we tabled it before, and probably, you know, have a little bit more dialogue on how we can move forward with doing it by sitting down with people that do really know how this works within the community versus sitting here voting down my conviction on something that I don't think would necessarily work that would be beneficial to us. So I think we just definitely need to table this item.
So would y'all like me to plan a workshop and get experts in to help facilitate this matter?
Yeah, that's my thought, right?
So since that is down on the decision, whatever is gonna happen, it can happen down there, even with the special workshop, because this is the public hearing part. If we go ahead and close out the hearing and move on to the rest of the agenda, and then.
Get down to number 7, we can make a decision then.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing on resolution 2026-1. We're now down to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So
That's some questions.
it's the consent agenda. We usually don't discuss the consent agenda.
Okay.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. We're now ready for discussion. Ordinance 2025-7. Amending subpart B. Councilman Mack.
Well, actually, this was something that I think was, I ain't gonna say miscommunication, but it was something that I definitely want to put on the agenda for a decision and this for discussion. So what I want to request now is that we put this on the next agenda for decision. That way we can vet it and, put it out an ad and move forward like that. We don't even have to have a discussion on that because we already did that with Ms. Tara. I think the last time I put it on the, agenda. Do you recall us having that discussion?
Good evening, Tara Mary, town planner. Can you refresh my memory on what discussion item we're discussing right now? Is it the duplex or the townhome?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask the town attorney to weigh in on this because I believe, I don't know the law, but I believe that you had an ordinance, a motion came. So I don't know the legal way to bring that back because you've already made the motions, denied it, and then the ordinance then didn't pass.
You know, bring it back. You can chime in and kind of explain to us. what that
Yes,
is.
I'll do the best I can. What Ms. Salmieri said is correct. You have been through the process for getting an ordinance considered and passed or not passed, and it did not pass. I forget what the outcome was. I think it might have been 4-1 against it, if I'm not mistaken, but at any rate, it didn't pass. I remember that part. And so now if you're asking, okay, how do we proceed if we want to undo what we did, you'd have to have someone who voted in favor of the ordinance. I think there's only one person that did that, if my recollection, make a motion for reconsideration of the matter. And that usually is based on some new information, which so far I haven't heard any. That's not to say that someone could say, hey, this is the problem I had with the prior ordinance. I want to do a new ordinance. It's different in this way. And then we start over with fresh. We draft a new ordinance, make whatever change or changes were requested and bring it forward. But to bring back the identical ordinance that has already failed after the appropriate amount of hearings and votes is not appropriate because, again, if that were the case, every time someone was on the losing end of something, they would try to bring it back.
It happens a lot, I think, in government. Like, it's a lot of times that you don't agree with things. And I've been saying for 10 years in reference to a lot of things that have came before me that didn't necessarily pass, and then it came back again and it did pass. So I would, like I said, I know you are legal counsel. Some things I trust your instincts in, but this one I don't. And I just have to weigh my opinion on how I feel about it. So I think it is a way that we can do it. That's why I'm asking you, as our legal counsel, who we pay to answer these tough questions, are we able to do what I want to do moving forward without breaking the law, essentially?
Okay, I understand what the question is, but what I'm trying to tell you is the legal way is there was a motion. I'm trying to remember what the motion was. Ms. King, can you remind me, was the motion to deny it or was the motion to approve it? Because that can make a difference in the outcome of who gets to decide what happens next. I just don't remember. I think I remember it was a 4-1 vote, but I don't remember whether that was a 4-1 vote to deny it or 4-1 vote where the motion was to pass it and 4 people voted against it, if you understand what I mean. Did 4 people vote to deny it and that was the motion, or was the motion to pass it and 4 people voted against the motion?
Well, it was the first reading and it was denied. You can't give
But-
you
but-
the exact, I can't
Well-
give you the exact result of the vote because I don't have that information in front of me, but I can verify that.
I'm just trying to figure out, how was the motion worded? Was it, I move to approve this on first reading, or was it the motion, I move to deny this on first reading?
The motion was to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-7.
Okay, then if that's correct, and there was 1 vote in favor of it, but 4 against it, then it has to be the losing side or the winning side in this case, and the winning side were the people who vote against it. Someone on the side that voted against it and prevailed says, I want to bring it up again. So that could be you, Mr. Mack. It could be any of the other 3 who voted against it on first reading, because it matters the way the motion was worded. If it had been, we moved to deny it and the prevailing party had been the opposite, then it would have to be someone on the other side of the motion. So in this case, there's 4 of you apparently that voted to deny it on first reading. That means you won the vote. And so one of you can bring it back on a motion to reconsider. But typically that requires new information. And that's what I'm saying is, what is the new information? So there's a basis.
I think during the course of Ms. Tara doing her presentation, it was a lot of confusion. I can say for myself because I was trying to wrap my head around with all the zoning and all the different things that you had spoke about with all the components that we was dealing with. Now I can't speak for everybody else, but a lot of other people seem to be a bit puzzled too. That's why I was hesitant to make my decision. It should have been something that we tabled, but I know it was the first reading. And I was optimistic that it would, go to another level of having a second reading. That way we can probably evaluate it a little bit more and kind of digest it and see exactly what we're dealing with, because we know we got the other reading also. So that's my position on it. I'm in hopes that we could come back to this particular item and go a different direction than what we went originally.
If it has enough support, you can make a motion to reconsider the action that was taken, which is the denial on first reading of what happened at that meeting. And if that is done, then Mrs. King would go through the process of properly putting it on a future agenda. But again, it would be put on as a first reading because it can't get to a second reading without a first reading. And what
Right.
I'm simply, go ahead.
Sorry, cut you off.
And so since I know, and Miss Salmary can certainly change my mind if I'm wrong, but I don't think her presentation is going to change a comma. In other words, she presented a very clear table of what the uses were and what was available and so forth. And that's fine. I mean, she doesn't have to change anything, but what I am suggesting is typically for a motion to reconsider, something new has to have occurred, something that gives you an opportunity. And candidly, that it didn't make sense or whatever is not generally considered new information. But this is essentially your call to make. If you get enough support to bring it back, then Ms. King can put it on a future agenda as a first reading, and the presentation will be made all over again and see what happens. But again, I caution you, because the caution is that this should not be the way things go once they have actually been decided on council, and this was actually decided on council. Absent new information, you generally don't take things back and do them over again.
One moment.
I won't make an analogy, but I won't for the sake of public meeting. So I'll leave it like that. And this has everything to do with you, Mr. Shepherd. So I'll leave it like that. I'm pretty sure you'll have an opportunity to think about what I'm talking about when I said that. If we're gonna speak on bringing things back that we essentially did to make something the matter. So
Yeah.
I just leave it like that.
Wait, one moment. Let me go to Ms. King.
Yeah, just in reference to the first reading, the first reading took place on Tuesday, December 2nd at 7:30 council meeting. We had a full council. That's when Councilman Rodney Daniels was sitting in the seat of, that's Councilman number 3. The results of that public hearing, approval of the first reading of ordinance 2025-7, all voted no.
Yep. No.
Unanimous.
Did it come back
So-
to the next meeting?
No, because that was the first reading. Wouldn't come back for a second reading if the first reading was not.
Well, as of now, I want to put a motion on the floor, regardless of whatever it was, unanimous or whatever, to bring this particular item back. If they choose to vote up or down on it, that's their decision. If it votes down, it votes down. If it votes up, we're in a position to put it back on the agenda for approval. So
Yeah, and the purpose of me reading it, because I was asked on what the voting results were, and I pulled up the minutes that have been approved. And that was the results of first reading. I think what legal is saying that it can be brought back, but the ordinance would have to be rewritten to come back.
So it has been a change.
It has to be a change in the
we can make
ordinance.
changes. So what I do is as of now. I know we have to make the changes first before I can actually put a motion on the floor to bring it back. Am I correct? Or can I do it without?
If I'm hearing what the attorney's saying and all that, Councilman, then if you're gonna make substantial change, you make substantial change and submit it to the clerk. And it's a new ordinance, so then it'll be the first reading again of it coming out. So it
Okay.
won't still be 2025-7, it'll be 2026, whatever that number is, and but it has to be substantial change. I don't know how you determine what's substantial or not.
Yeah, can you identify that for me? Because
Yeah,
substantial seems to be a lot.
Yeah, let me
That's-
clarify. Let me clarify. It's not that the ordinance has to change, although it does need a new number. But usually you don't reconsider something that was fully vetted at a hearing with lots of discussion, as all of that occurred, unless there's new information. So it doesn't have to change the substance of the motion, but usually it's because, well, what we found out was there was more places that duplexes could go that we didn't realize at the time. And so we have new information, or less properties are affected than we thought. So we have new information, or more properties were affected than we thought. So we have new information on which to reconsider our decision. When you have no new information, except I changed my mind, that's not new information. But again, if that's at the end of the day, so I make clear to everybody where I stand, because I am consistently about this. I'm not a huge fan of Robert's rules because it typically does what it's doing right now. If you follow Robert's rules, it keeps you from achieving the result that you appear to want to achieve, assuming that other council members agree. And that is bringing back this matter for y'all to consider again. Some codes, I don't know that yours does, I'll have to verify that and certainly will, but some codes have an absolute prohibition. Once something is voted down, that it has to stay off the agenda if it's not changed, the actual item is changed for a solid year, as an example. So someone comes in for a rezoning, as an example, and it's voted down. You can't just bring back a rezoning next week and say, well, I want to try again. You have to wait. Typically, codes provide for that. But this is a legislative decision. I'm sorry.
As our attorney, can you look up that in our charter to see if that matches the criteria of what we can do or what we can't do, being that you just brought it up?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
got
can look it up. Whether I can look it up in time to finish this item at this minute, you might want to bring it back. But I suspect, and this is what I want you to understand, when I mentioned a rezoning, I did that for a specific reason, because a rezoning is a quasi judicial matter, which is a different kind of matter than a legislative one, where you're making decisions on changing the law, which is exactly what you're doing in this case. You're not applying the existing law to a given set of facts, like, so-and-so's property wants to know whether they can have duplexes or not. You're actually just looking at it as a policy issue. So the 1-year rule, which typically does apply in other places and might apply in Eatonville or might not, is not likely to apply to legislative matters. I will certainly look it up for you. But what I'm telling you is the reason I'm not a fan of Robert's rules, for lots of reasons, is they get in the way of the town or the city that I represent doing what its elected officials want to do. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Mack, is if there are 3 votes to bring it back as it was, it will be a new number. It will have to go through the process of being put on the agenda. And if advertised, I can't remember what it was the first time or not. I think it's usually advertised only for the second reading. But whatever that process is, right, the appropriate thing now would be to make the motion to bring it back again as it was, and see if you can get 3 votes to do that. And typically, and this is why I keep saying this, to convince other council members, you would articulate, here is what has changed. Here is what I find as new information that I think justifies us looking at this again. And that's all I'm trying to say. I haven't heard anything that is new.
Yes. And also, in addition to the vote that took place on December the 2nd, it was brought back on December the 16th. Well, it wasn't brought back. I think Councilman Mack,
discussion.
you actually put a motion on the floor to rescind the vote, and it died for lack of a second. And another question would be, if we were to bring it back, does it have to go back before planning and zoning first?
If it's
That's
the
the
same
question for
ordinance,
me.
no.
Okay.
All right, so where are we?
We bring it back.
Yes, I am. So the language, if you can give me the language to, be able to move forward with my motion. And then I just,
Again, it would be this, it's the same motion you made last. I didn't remember that you'd made a second motion, but you made a motion to rescind what had been done before. And if nobody supported it, then we didn't bring it back. But you can try it again. And if you get a second, then at least there's an opportunity to see if it's approved this time, in which case then we go through the process of bringing it back. So a motion to rescind is fine. That's, I mean, either vehicle gets you where you're trying to go. But the question is, will enough people support it, which is why new information is generally critical.
It's already failed for the lack of second, so I think I'll be putting another motion on the floor to move forward with, bringing it back. Other than saying I'm rescinding something because it was already denied
But
due to my rescinding. Now make it make, like,
so are you saying you want to put a motion on the floor to bring back the old ordinance number 2025-7 for reconsideration by the board?
right, but we're gonna change the numbers, of course.
Well, I mean, that's obvious because it failed before, so it would have to come back as a new number.
Right, that's
Correct,
why I'm
attorney?
asking the attorney right now to just give me the language while we can move forward with, because for the, sake of the meeting, I don't wanna sit here and keep, discussing this and beating a dead horse. I just wanna put a motion on the floor to, move forward with putting this back on the, agenda item for decision.
Okay,
And that's it.
that's
I don't wanna-
a
I
fine
don't have
motion.
anything else to discuss.
That's a fine
other than
motion.
that.
That's a fine motion. It's got to get a second and 3 votes.
So that's my motion.
You have heard the motion. Is there a second? It died twice. It died twice.
All right, there you have, okay.
All right. So we're gonna move on with the next discussion, establishing a zoning classification for building townhomes within the town of Eatonville.
Yes, again, I think we need to, this is something that was supposed to be, put on for decision as well. And I definitely want to move forward, but I haven't any discussion about it because I think we've already discussed this and put it on the next agenda item for, decision. For our next council meeting.
I'm sorry, Councilman Mack, did you want me to address that or?
No, I don't, because we've already addressed it with me and we already had this discussion. And I don't want to have any more discussion about it unless this council do. All I want to happen now is for it to be put back on the agenda for decision.
The townhomes?
Yes,
There's never
unless you want to
been,
elaborate.
there's not been an item or an ordinance under consideration. I've met with council twice to discuss townhomes. And the last discussion was in August, where I sought direction on where to go with townhomes. I explained, is it okay if I just do a little bit of that update? I explained that there were 2 avenues to do townhomes. That could be in R3 zoning, also in PD. We discussed the pros and cons of both, and there was not a majority decision. I believe that everybody on the board wanted the PD process. PD process is in place. It requires you to have 2 acres of land in order to move forward with the PD. When we had the discussion, I believe that Councilman Mack said he wanted to eliminate the acre requirement, but no one else wanted that or agreed to it. So the only other input that I received that night was the 2 acres was fine, and that's where the majority of the board was comfortable keeping it. So I did, so I brought it, I asked for direction, and that's what's happened. So if that's changed
I get my
or
stance on that.
new direction, then
Yeah, and I definitely want to go in a new direction. And my stance, like I just stated, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did with item number 4, is to put the motion on the floor to move forward with putting this on the next agenda for decision making. Whether vote up or down, we'll let this board decide that. So that's my motion.
may I, before that, because it wasn't an ordinance and I was seeking direction, the pathway would be, first, I would have to create the ordinance of how you'd like. And then it goes to planning board for recommendation, and then it will come to commission.
Yeah, because I've already kind of discussed with you.
Yes.
And I think I was probably one of the only ones that wanted to eliminate the acres in terms of how, we could do this. Because 2 acres just doesn't, essentially make sense to me, especially in a town of this size right here. That's why I wanted to move forward with doing what I, anticipated, but either here or there, that's my position on it. We're putting it on there. And whatever you gotta do in terms of, changing the ordinance and speaking with legal about how we can go move forward with this, we can do that.
So this is just for a recommendation to establish a zoning classification for a town. This is what this is about
Basically.
right now, right?
Yeah, but I guess you have to go and change some,
Change.
which is long.
Any changes to land development code to date, the workshops that we had, we're talking about, the question was, and some of the discussion was, the town actually has property for townhomes as well. And what, pathway for adoption, and you have that with your PD, zoning district. And, so I'm not sure, I mean, you would have to direct me on what you want. The 2 acre threshold allows for townhomes, so you have, that. What's being discussed tonight is to remove acreage requirements, which basically would mean that if somebody had a 50-foot lot, they could come in and develop 2 to 3 homes on their one single family home. If it gets removed and no requirement, then anybody, that owned a piece of land could, essentially ask for 3 to 4 times the amount that they already have.
But even if I'm subject to say, okay, let's go with what you, essentially wanting to go with the 2 acres, which is okay, whatever. And, block out what I just said in terms of, eliminating the acres, which doesn't really make sense. But when I did speak with you, I said it gotta be something within the guidelines of at least 1 acre, and then.
So I didn't have a recollection of an acreage, that night, but absolutely I can bring different things. I just, didn't
Yeah,
get
but it's
the
something that's gonna make sense. Like I said, it's gonna be totally up to this board, of course.
Right.
I'm only 1 vote, so I definitely wanna move forward with doing something that will profoundly put us in a position to be able to do what I wanna do in terms of the townhomes, because I knew that's something that I talked about when I first got back in office, and seemed like I was just getting a runaround about it, and boom, now we're to this place where we're at now, which is not really making a lot of sense to me, because I felt like, for the lack of words, I just be quiet at this moment. And but like I said, Ms. Tara, if we can move forward with possibly putting this on the agenda, and you vetting it and doing what you need to do to better see what it is that we could probably move forward with doing that's gonna make sense. That's what I'm for.
So Councilman, I think what she's asking is you gotta tell her what scope or what scenario that is needed for her to move forward with that. So what recommendations are you giving?
The recommendations is, I know you're saying 2 acres,
Well,
so
that's what your code says. It's not my recommendation. That's what the code
So
says.
can I just say what our conversation was as well? So when the town did the 4.1 million grant, the renderings used were for townhomes. And so when we talked, my idea for townhomes, they're side by side, so what I'm asking is that you look at all the different scenarios that fit our town, that you think fit best for our town, and for us to consider, something to consider. So whether it needs to remain in a 2 acreage, or if you see something that may work that reduces that size, that is what I'm asking. Just a starting point for a conversation to kind of reassess the acreage.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is acreage requirements to do, some study or find out who also does that, and then what kind of criteria, and then how that matches the town. So you want me to come forward with different examples for you to choose and direct.
As long
And
as the townhomes, yes.
Then
Yes.
the ordinance would get created.
That's what I'm
Because if I can't create an ordinance without the direction, but I'm happy to give you a range of things to look at, and that's what I'm hearing.
That's part of that.
You would rather have the range to then direct me on the ordinance.
Right.
I
Okay.
agree, I agree.
All right.
And so at this motion, at this notion right now, you probably looking at least 60 days, because for it to go back to planning and zoning, January is out. So that'd be the February meeting, so it probably will not come back to about March. If we estimate.
That's your opinion. What's your opinion?
Well, it has to go to, it just depends at what you're comfortable with. If you're okay, if you're okay with me not workshopping you as a council first, and I can bring, I'd still have to bring the recommendations or workshop the planning board on, and
I mean, it could still be a discussion with the planning board. You know, to get their.
yeah, but
input as well.
that'll make it even longer.
Longer. So that-
It's really hard for me to do on the fly, but I hear that you want this done as soon as
How soon can we get this done?
I have a suggestion of a time.
Okay.
You just have to let me know if it's doable, but, our first meeting in February, which is the 3rd, we could probably workshop it with council.
When does the packet need to be done?
I can get with you on that. The packet usually is the Friday before the delivery.
It'll be this Friday. Because it's not possible for me to do this work by Friday.
Well,
I have to work 24 hours for 3 days in a row to get that done.
okay,
So when can you get it done?
So let's get the.
Since you can't get it done Friday,
So
when
why-
can you?
why
Get it?
don't-
the timeline that I was proposing, I could understand she gotta get it done. If you workshopped it on
If you
Thursday,
want me to do some research, I would assume.
right? If y'all had did a workshop
Right,
to
come
further
on the third
discuss
to it.
it on the 3rd, then the planning and zoning meets on February the 12th, which means that an ordinance at the earliest couldn't come before you until February 17th, and that's the minimum time.
Okay, are you comfortable with that?
Why don't we do this?
You're not comfortable with Friday, are you comfortable with the 17th? Like, I'm trying to,
But Ms. Selberry, is it possible to get with Ms. Daniels? Come up with a realistic time,
Oh, yeah.
and then if you'll get with Councilman.
Yes, my only concern is that I'm then going to planning board without getting your input.
Right.
To have an ordinance presented when I don't give you options. So that's where my mind is.
no,
And if
to
I
be able to give
heard-
us options now, that would be like,
So I need to come to you first before I even go to the planning board. That's why that scenario doesn't work. So if I can just have, till tomorrow afternoon to think of what that schedule is, because the way I look at it is I need to workshop it with you. And then I need to, draft an ordinance, provided I've been given direction that everybody agrees on. Then I need to draft that and present it to the planning board. And the planning board meets, once a month.
And that sounds fine as a start, but tomorrow you can get with Mr. Daniels,
Yeah, we can be
Or
first thing in
next-
the morning.
2 days.
Yes.
I'd like to add something. I like to see the townhomes. I think it's great for townhomes, but I think we need to confine that to certain areas in the town.
Okay.
So we don't have townhomes building all over the place, and it's not conducive to certain neighborhoods or areas.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. I do apologize if I had any confusion, but you trying to, make your decision, and I'm not sitting here,
Well, I'm not a decision maker. I just.
No, but because you just made a decision, so you can't do it Friday, so.
Well, that is an impossible, if you would like, I guess what I'll say is if you want it done by Friday, It's not gonna be thoughtful. It won't be an analysis. Or
But I don't
email,
know,
and I'll
that,
give you a package.
that, and I'm not trying to be, listen, I respect your position, I respect everything you do for the town. Whenever you can do this in a timely manner that's gonna make sense for you and this council and this town, that's when you'll make your recommendations with town frame you need to speak with Mr. Daniels about, and then he'll get with myself, and then we'll present it to the council. All right, that's fair enough?
Sure.
All right, have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Summer. All right, next item is council decision approval to freeze the HUD disaster recovery. Councilwoman. I don't see a resolution.
There was never a resolution. Here it is, 2026-3. It's on page 49. Resolution number 2026-3, a resolution of the town of Eatonville. Town council authorizing the administration to freeze the HUD disaster recovery, community planning and development grants, providing for conflict severability and effective date.
You've heard the preamble. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second question.
Before we start, I'm gonna ask Councilwoman.
Okay. I realize that there's a $2 million and $4 million award, to the town of Eatonville for the HUD housing, project. The first 2 million is for the funding of purchase, land acquisition, grant for affordable homes, and 4 million is for the construction. This is just only to assure and protect the town of Eatonville, to make sure that these funds are being protected under what they were given for. So that way they won't be misused or misappropriated going to other areas other than what we want in the town. So this is the reason that this was put in place. That is to protect the town. There may be some issues that we may need these funds for purchasing of land or something of some sort. At that particular time, I was thinking about the Hunger property as well as some other things that may come our way. We do know that we have some scattered lots around town that if the town wanted to purchase those, maybe interested, it was a way of those funds to be released based upon the majority of the town council as to what we feel those funds should be used for in accordance to what was given.
Is this consistent with the budget, the fiscal budget for the year? Do we have to amend this if we move forward with doing this, or we can just do it? Yeah,
No. That would be these funds, grants have deadlines. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it to Attorney Shepherd.
so what are the deadlines on these particular grants?
Okay, if you look on page number, what is it, number 59? Okay, the $2 million grant is the ending period for that one is 2031. And the $4 million is 2032. So, we
That was my only concern with the length of time that we had to be able to make
I guess my thing is there is no purchase of any land that can be made without it coming to the council. I'm not understanding the thought process, however.
Well, there may not be one, but we still have time to put those things in place. So this is just 2026. So hopefully within 5 years, hopefully, maybe before this time, we should have a plan.
I'm not understanding though, why would we freeze it, because haven't they already been allotted for certain items?
We haven't used it. We're not.
We haven't used that.
Help me understand.
31 and 32. So even if we do move forward with freezing it, we can come back and unfreeze it also. We got something that's gonna make sense. And, moving forward, because there's so much that's been coming out of pipeline that, rules have not really been in place, if you ask me. And I think we're protecting ourselves with, freezing these grants. And I think that's why she's in a position to do what she's doing now. Although we have to come back before council before doing it, but, I've seen stranger things happen. And I don't want that to occur either, so I kind of concur with her, and that's why I asked for the, is this consistent with the budget? Because if it is, what's the time frame, which she just displayed to me, which is the year 31, 32. So I'm comfortable with, moving forward what she want to do and, making this approval.
To my recollection, it's not in the bank account yet, so these are reimbursable and all that, so. The money's not in the account. The money's not in the
The
account.
2 million order for,
No, sir. So most of our grants are reimbursable matching grants.
so, okay,
So you still operate within, you get reimbursed back from the federal government, and that was the whole purpose of having the line of credit and all that to help facilitate these grants along and stuff like that. But any purchase of land, anything, purchase agreement would have to come back to the council. Not one individual can sign off on that by themselves.
of course. Now, I want to ask you this, but I don't, what would be your recommendation as a CEO of the town?
So the grants are in process right now, so I will continue the process. I just think it has to be more transparency on, and I hear why Councilwoman and why you both have said that the reason you're holding it up because I guess funds have been moved or things have happened that you all.
Stranger things have happened.
Grants are audited, so they could have been too strange.
Even with auditing, we done had a lot of finding in auditing too, so we can't sit here and say we haven't.
Yeah.
And it's been proven that it has been a lot of finding in the auditing process that we've gone through over the years. At the end of the day, I want to be able to protect the town, protect our interests moving forward with any funds that are available, whether grant or real money in our account, to make sure that we're fulfilling the need of the taxpayers' money and money that's coming to us. You know what I'm saying? Grants or money that's given to you, but it kind of puzzles me that you say it's not in the bank.
Yeah, so if you all can, and I'm trying to, and attorney, maybe you can jump in to help me. I'm trying to, if we freeze it, are we not allowed to continue the process?
That's pretty much what you're freezing.
So what do we
We have
process?
it.
What do we process? If you can tell me, if you can explain to me, what do we process?
I know for the 2 million, the 4 million, it's just pretty much monitoring it because the grant writer has been in contact with the grantee. So even if it's an update, a report, that is still happening.
Monitoring and processing is totally different, if you ask me, in terms of definition. Because if you're monitoring something, you're just sitting there looking at it.
Just
If you're processing something, you're moving forward with doing something that is making a lot of sense with, putting this money in the right place to essentially do something in the community, whether it's construction or whatever it is, infrastructure or whatever.
So I think overarching thing is, what are we gonna use the 2 million for? And then once we can decide that, then that's when the 4 million is going to come in, because the 4 million can't come into place until the 2 million is used.
Let me make this one statement, and I don't want to be too long, I really don't. Okay, with the $2 million that we had an opportunity to do something great, which was buy a piece of property in Eatonville that would have been substantial for this community. And perhaps, like this is almost like the this is a mecca right here. You know what I'm saying? On Kennedy, and especially the property that we have an opportunity to buy, but we let someone else outside of Eatonville come and purchase it for something less than the 2 million. We could even got away with even saving money, but we chose not to do that.
It was sold.
But no, it was an opportunity for us to buy it, and we chose not to buy it. Come on now, let's be reasonable here now. Let's be truthful at this time. And I don't want to use my mannerism in terms of trying to make it seem like I'm sitting here beating you up, Mayor, because that's not my intention. But the truth is the truth.
Sold.
But we had an opportunity, did we or did we not?
Absolutely, but once it's sold, what do you do?
But they gave us first option.
But we have to wait for the documents to come through.
But they gave us first option though, Mayor. Who purchased the property?
First, please listen. If you give me first option, but it's sold before we can get everything in a row, everything taken care of, what do we do?
I
just don't think you understand.
I heard differently, Mayor, because I wasn't sitting up here during that time.
That
So,
was where.
but I
that
was
is
in
what-
these meetings
Let me
though.
finish. That is what we wanted. But if it is sold, it's sold. And right now, the price is way too much than what we
I'm
have.
definitely not buying for the price that it's
So
asking.
I don't think that, I think there's some missing information.
I think it was a lack of communication, because you gotta remember, I did sit out in this audience watching up here and seeing a lot of things that had taken place and us having the opportunity as a town to purchase this property and chose not to for whatever reason. And I feel like it was political reasons, but neither here nor there, we're here now. And we got the same $2 million that you say you're monitoring, as well as the $4 million that you say you're monitoring also.
Go ahead.
We're not processing anything. We could have processed and moved forward with buying the property. That's what you call process. But we chose not to for whatever reason. And I'm trying to be as fair as possible across the board, but I got a job to do up here as a legislator. And if I sit here and just continue to let things crumble and just go in a direction that doesn't make sense, shame on me as a leader up here to sit here and turn to cheat, knowing that things wasn't appropriately done. And I'm done. That's all I got. That's my spiel.
Motion 2026-3, we've been moved and seconded. All in favor for freezing the HUD disaster recovery, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So that's it, a yay or nay? Vice.
Well,
Last time I checked, a silent vote is a zero vote.
I was asking the
That's
vice.
the last time I checked.
Please,
Y'all twisting arms
let's
now?
make it clear. Let's do the roll.
Councilman Mack,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jordan. Nay. Mayor Gardner,
Nay.
Vice Mayor Washington.
Aye.
Councilwoman Randolph.
Aye.
3-2. It passes.
So resolution 2026-1, adopting a tourism master plan. Earlier, it was discussed to table it. Is that motion still?
Yes. I want to table
All
that
right,
item.
you've heard the motion to table resolution 2026-1. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. CAO, report please.
Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. As Ms. Johnson said earlier, kudos to staff for the parade. Heard nothing but great things about the parade from participants, residents watching it, and the vendors. The vendors were very happy. I had an opportunity to walk around and talk to a lot of vendors, and believe it or not, a lot of the vendors sold out by 4:30, 5 o'clock. So they really appreciate it and all that. So good job to all the staff. Thank you, PD, for safety. I've heard of no viable threats or anything like that took place or any incident, so it was a good thing. Also let everyone know the security doors have been installed. Council, you all will be getting your cards on tomorrow. They have access to go around, so, come tomorrow, it'll be a lot more secure. In order to leave out the chambers or whatever, you have to have your car, so everyone will have to have a car in order to access around. We've had some issues, as you all know, with permitting personnel, but we have been in contact with UES. UES is our outside source that's helping us with permits. Just to give you some update on it, to debunk some of the things that's been going on. A lot of forms and Terra has left. A lot of our forms and stuff like that was not in conforming. So we're working on that. We're trying to get us on a portal. We're trying to make sure that it makes it easier. We're like one of the only municipalities that's still accepting paper and permits in paper instead of digital, and it's holding up the process. So we're moving forward with that. So US is going to be sending someone in that's going to be helping us get that process done, as well as get us aligned so we can get these permits turned around. They also were held up for a while, but they have assured, and I've seen a couple emails as I've been sitting here, some of the permits are starting to come in right now. With staff, we're getting ready to analyze the budgets. Don't want to wait till later on in the year to start analyzing. I've told Ms. Gibson that we will be analyzing budgets every quarter to be able to give updates. So you'll soon be receiving your first quarter of finance analysis, because it does us no good to wait till we get 3 quarters in and say, oh, we got an issue. We should know that ahead of time. So that's part of forecasting. So we're definitely working on forecasting right now. Ms. Johnson, she's still here. The sidewalks was instrumented by the previous CAO with Orange County. So that's where that came from, the sidewalks being installed. We are working on, Monday has been working on plenty of objectives of getting the other sidewalks in. I do know that each Orange County commissioner, to my knowledge, is allowed $100,000 a year in sidewalks. So we are going to be going towards them talking about sidewalks. Something that we got to look at, we're talking about how do we make the community better, make the town better, money wise and all that. Y'all, we have to look at our fee schedules, because on some things our fees don't weigh what we're charging people compared to what it's costing us, don't add up. So we're definitely working on that. I need from council your next quarter schedules, whatever your objectives are or community objectives. Councilman Mack, I know you said you wanted to do a cleanup coming up soon. So if we can go ahead and get that out so we can properly plan, it will be greatly appreciated. And council, last thing is I'll be having a talk with you all in reference to a meeting I had with the county in reference to a potential new infrastructure tax that may be coming that could give us about $1 million added to our budget. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Oh, Saturday, yes, we do have a cleanup this Saturday with representing Escamani on this upcoming Saturday. And yeah, Gracie added, and I think somebody else is trying to add on too. So it's a lot of moving hands right now.
All right, thank you. Attorney Shepherd.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to briefly mention something that came up during the Dr. Phillips presentation. I certainly appreciated what we heard from them. There are questions that I feel like it's not my place to ask, but I want to at least bring them to your attention. So if you are interested, then y'all will ask. And one of those is that I still don't know, and I don't think any of us in the room know, what acreage they believe would be left over if those 5 projects get built for things that would generate tax revenue. I think that is an important question, because I don't know if that's 100 of the 117 acres or 70 of the 117 acres or 50 or whatever. And it would be obviously important to know for whoever is going to be on the advisory committee, what is it that's going to be left over that can generate tax dollars, and what are they thinking? Obviously, they're saying they want our input, and I think that's wise. But I also think it's important that we get a number so that we don't get mission creep. If they say, oh, it'll be only 10 acres and that'll leave you 107 to develop, then we need to keep it to that. And if they say 17, we need to keep it to that, but we need to know what the thought process is there. The second thing that I didn't raise with them, but I'm raising with you, is they said that, I think it was Mr. Ken, I wish I could remember his last name, but the CEO. He said that, and you're going to get substantial impact fees. And the problem with that statement is, to my knowledge, and I know because I followed up quite regularly, and if I missed something, I would have had to miss a meeting, which would have been pretty significant. I don't think we have impact fees for stormwater and water or wastewater. And those are huge, potentially, and hugely important. And we still don't have them. What I think we do have is increased water rates, which, I know that the method that occurred has created some controversy. But the big picture is, we wanted to do these impact fees so that we could have development paid its own way. And we cannot do that if we don't have them for everything we need. We have them for some things now. Obviously, you all will remember we had them adopted and we did a study in the whole business. It took over a year, but we got it. But we still don't have the water, wastewater, and stormwater. And if I'm correct on that, what I recall being told, and someone there can verify if I'm right or not wrong, is that the Florida Rural Water Association, who had done our rate study for our water rates for, I think, for free, I'm not sure, was going to, as soon as we did the rates adoption, was going to do the impact fee study that we needed to create, for the first time, water, stormwater, and wastewater impact fees. And I cannot say enough, as I have literally since 2022, how important this is. So if I'm right, if I'm wrong, great. But if I'm right, this needs to become priority one before development starts coming out of the ground at Hungerford, because you cannot adopt them after the fact. As you will recall from impact fee lessons learned the first go round, once you actually get to the point of adopting an ordinance, they don't become effective until 90 days thereafter. So if we had an ordinance that we could adopt tonight, the rates wouldn't be effective for another 90 days. That tells you we have an issue that needs immediate consideration.
Thank you, Attorney. That's it.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Oh, I want that. Are we working on those in time, those fees?
I know it was started, but I will be following up on that first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's something that we need to be, some of the things we need to be, updating on. And that's next time. I talk, Aspire, Chief and CEO. When these people get released out of Spirit, they release them on our streets. We need to have them, get with them down there and tell them, they need to get their bus pass to take them at where they came from, or like, they just on our street corners, down my road and down in Lake Levy, just doing whatever. So we need to find a way to talk with them and say, when you release these people, they need to be going where they came from, St. Cloud, Sanford, whatever you pick them up from, to drop them off. Because we had a couple doing some things that was very explicit in public.
And they have in the past, I think one of the bigger issues is they have such a high turnover rate. Each shift kind of does their own thing, so we try to meet with them regularly for them to continue to push. Everybody knows what's going on. They even sometimes have us coming there for a call for service, won't let us in because we want to take our guns off. But that's different when you come. It's just different. So you have to make phone calls and all that. So I'll make sure that's a priority. We have a meeting coming up at the end of the month, so I'll make sure that's a priority.
Definitely on the release thing. I know they give them bus pass or something like that, but they're not watching you on the bus. They going across the street, begging for money, all that kind of stuff there.
And sometimes generally they'll give us a heads up when we come down there and be in the area, but it's never consistent. That's the problem. But I'll make that part of January's meeting.
Yeah, I just the parade went pretty good. Whatever issue I had, I talked to the CEO, he'll handle that. But other than that, everything went great. I mean, the staff did pretty good. So that's all I have.
You have Andy?
Oh, no.
Yeah, book bags and everything.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good meeting tonight. One of the things, a couple of things I'm just gonna mention. I'm glad that the impact fees were brought up, because that is a very high priority. That we need to, ensure that these things are in place. And if I remember correctly, there wasn't a stormwater impact, wasn't it? At some point, I don't think that was completed.
That's the one that's in question right now. Last I had talked before Mr. President, he was contacting them to see how far along it is, but I'll make sure to step into that.
Yeah. Okay, and the situation on the water rate for the increase or the fee for the residents for reimbursement of some sort, where are we with that right now?
So Councilwoman, we pulled that data. We still haven't finished it. Been working with Ms. Gibson, but she's been out for the last 2 weeks because of a family emergency. But I'll get back with her. She should be back in tomorrow.
Is there any way that we can resolve this by the next meeting coming up in 2 weeks? Is that something that can be worked out? Because this has been dragging out for a long time. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up.
Can you give me the second meeting in February to make sure I don't wanna. If we can get it in early, I'll get it to you early. I'll say that.
Yeah, we need to clear that. Okay, and also the resolution that was submitted for the salary of the that one position, the police position that we had, that extra surplus salary, and those increases for the employees. When is that? Because I've been asked about that several times, and
So, and Chief can step up to that. So they've recently had an audit. And there's gonna have to be another change done before we can actually get those increasing. I'll let Chief talk into that.
You know, during our evidence audit, which the town has not, PD has not had, if it was, it had to been in the last 20 years or so. So within that audit, we were highly recommended that we needed to split between the evidence. The evidence and the records person shouldn't be the same person. It's a conflict of interest in a lot of ways. Especially if evidence is missing, nobody would know because the evidence person and also the person that puts the records in. So I made a suggestion with Mr. Daniels that we would probably find a way to look at creating some of that salary to a full-time position of a records person.
yeah, but the recommendation was we also had some town employees too that were supposed to be evaluated. They're not where they should be on that sheet that I sent you all. So I don't know where we.
Well, we weren't talking about taking the whole salary. So it was only a portion of it that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Salary, and the rest we're looking at step plan into those people.
To the town employees.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the rest of it will go to the staff, the PD that have been here longer.
Yeah,
Not the ones not the ones who just came on and stuff like that. It'll be a sliding scale.
Okay, good presentation. But first of all, I'd like to say for the MFK, the administration did a great job. Our law enforcement department did an excellent job. The vendors seem to be very happy, as we had said. I do want to know before we close tonight, last week, we've had week and a half, we had 2 meetings concerning a developer consultant for the board. So where are we with that now? Because I haven't heard anything.
So Attorney Shepherd is on. I've had a conversation with Attorney Shepherd. He is going to write a legal opinion for you all on that consultant and just make sure that it goes along with procurement. But as of when we talked the other day, he don't see a discrepancy right now, but he wants to make sure it's in alignment with our procurement policy. And for clarity, the CRA follows the same procurement policy as the town.
Do we know how soon that will be done?
I'll speak up and say I got the procurement policy this afternoon. And I was just checking my schedule for tomorrow, and I don't have any meetings until 7 p.m. And even that one is being attended by someone else who's not me. So I have a lot of things that are in the queue, and this will be one of them. But I expect to be able to get you an answer to whether there's anything in the procurement policy that would require something different than what was done Since the total amount, as I recall, it was $25,000, that's the number I'm working off of. And so the question will be, is there anything in the policy that says that for consultant services that are $25,000 or more, you have to go get 3 bids or whatever, or something like that? That's what I'm going to be looking for. I do not know the answer yet. Like I said, I just got the policy this afternoon, but I will have an answer probably for you tomorrow.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
I would like to, say that it was a very good presentation today by the, Dr. Phillips, and I was glad to see that the residents came out. My hope is that we do have people that really step forward for the advisory board. It sounds like it's gonna be a lot of work, so if that's what the intent is, just make sure that you come and be prepared to, do the work. In terms of the, MLK parade, I was glad that I think it was successful. Only thing I asked is, this is something I've said since I've been here, if we could do things in more of a timely manner, because, and it could be just because I'm new, I was a little stressed. I mean, it took, I got information a little later on, like the day before, and I know some things were going on here in terms of staff, but I asked for, the projects that we are doing, that we can kind of get things probably going a little earlier, and get the information to us as council, especially for myself. And I have a question for the Catalina Park. Is there an update? I know that we voted to have that prefab building in place there. Is there any update on that?
All of that stuff is in work and it should be done by the 29th. Okay. It's going to be delivered in by the 29th. That was the last update.
Okay. Okay, because I know the deadline was 31st, so I just want to make sure we're good, because I was riding through the area and just like, okay, when will it be here? So guess we still got a little time.
Nice.
And that's my report. Thank you.
Yes, I believe in citizens and everybody else in their respective places. First of all, my condolences to anybody that have suffered any loss. And also, thanks to Dr. Phillips for giving that great presentation. I think, collectively and collaboratively, we definitely need to move forward with doing something that's gonna be like mine and that's gonna make a lot of sense for this community. So I give them their kudos for coming in and kind of giving us a prognosis of everything that's coming down the pipeline. So thank them. Also, the parade, MLK, it was a terrific parade. There's a lot of people, the vendors, they did a sensational job with, just serving the community, and wanting to come out here and serve the community. So kudos to everybody that was involved, and especially the staff that did a great job with preparing for the MLK. Also, looking forward to the Zora Neale Hurston Festival, which will be taking place January 30th through the February 1st. So that's coming up sooner than we can think of. So looking forward to that as well. And also, I just want to tap on, if I can, with all the engineering companies that we got, whether they're, applying for bids and work for the community. I think we need to do a better job in collaborating and making sure that everybody's getting a piece of the pie versus, and I know I heard attorney state something about something being a law in terms of, certain companies that scale larger than the others, but, hopefully we can sit down and have a discussion, move forward with that also. And then, my question also is host down. Where are we at with them, being complete with that? Cause I know it's been like, what, about 5 years now? Close to 5 years.
Yes, sir. So we actually have a meeting getting ready to come up with host time. We have been exploring a lot of other things that's going on at host time, but we do have a meeting that's supposed to be coming up soon, so I can get an update and let you know. I know your next question probably gonna be the fines. Yeah, there's still nothing that stopped. They're still rolling.
Right.
We've been making sure the meters and all that and stuff in place and all that. So we are moving forward with something. They have started doing it on landscape design out there and stuff like that. They start sidewalks. So a lot of that stuff is going on.
Okay. Well, anybody know that I've been a big advocate about the sidewalks that have been installed. And thanks to Ms. Monday for working so diligently in making that happen, because you know how I felt about that. And I thank you seriously for just reaching out to the people that you need to reach out to make that happen. I feel a lot more comfortable now riding our candidates, seeing our kids in a better place, but I know we still got a lot of work to do because we gotta fulfill the need of completing the whole sidewalk area once they do the widening of the road. So, but for what you did already, thank you, and I really commend you for that. And my last question would be to the attorney. He already pretty much know what I'm gonna ask him. Do we have any lawsuits pending against the town of Eatonville?
There are none that I'm aware of. None have been reported to me. I have not been served with anything. And so again, if anyone else knows of anything, if anything was turned over to Insurance Defense Council, now would be the time to speak up, but I'm not aware of anything new.
Okay, if all minds and hearts is clear, that's my report, and y'all have a great evening. Thanks.
Real quick, I do want to thank the staff as well, because I know we were down one, but Ms. Robinson, really helped us pull it off. So, and thank you for everything. Thank you, Chief. And I have to personally thank Officer Colangelo. He had to work Saturdays. Also, just prayers for Miss Gibson's family. You know, she's hardly ever not here. So for her to be absent for so long, you know, just pray for the family. Attorney Shepherd, quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if let me just ask you, so regarding the grants, we don't have grant money, so we have not made any requests on it. Do
Okay.
you know, and this might be do you know if it's better to forfeit an award
Well,
versus missing a date?
okay.
Losing
Forfeiting I can only tell you, since I'm not involved in the grant obtaining process. It's actually probably the best question you could ask is to the person who is the grant writer. She might have a better idea. But
I can do that.
my understanding has always been that the thing that you never want to do if you ever want additional grants is to forfeit a grant. So
Right.
that is what I've been told. I have no reason to doubt it, but it's not my specialty to be in the grant space. And the reason being is that once they go through the process, meaning whatever agency, this is not just HUD, this is literally all agencies. Once they go through the process of getting your application, reviewing your application, approving your application based on what you've asked for, and then you say no thanks, it's like any other government agency. You know what? I think we'll take their request less seriously because somebody else was denied while we were spending time fiddling with you, and we would just as soon give it to somebody who wants it and will use it. And that's my impression of the grant process, but I am not an expert on that thing.
And I don't want either one, but I just want to ask that question. So I am going to make certain that Dr. Johnson continue to monitor and process any updates that's needed on those grants, because we don't want to just sit there. Because it is something about that $2 billion. So I'm going to make sure that she continues.
That's all we need for the 2 billion is a determined address of what we want to purchase, and that's it.
Okay, so that's the only thing. I don't want to do either. I don't want y'all to think I'm trying to. I just want to ask the question. Other than that, everyone, just be safe and have a great night. It is 9:14. Is there a motion to adjourn? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. All right. 9:14. We are adjourned.